With the Olympic Games starting in just days, let's look at some women contenders in the sport of tennis. What's up, everybody? It's John Eric. While I continue my coverage of this year's Olympic Games in the sport of tennis, as you guys know, the tournament will get started on July 27th. And with this year's Summer Olympic Games being in Paris, the site of this year's tennis for the Olympic Games will be at Roland Garros, the host of the French Open every single year. So a lot of these ladies know what it takes to get the job done at Roland Garros, and they're definitely going to be in contention here at this year's Summer Olympic Games. Let's get started by talking about somebody who's won a French Open before and has some momentum on her side. I'm talking about Jelena Ostapenko. Ostapenko, of course, a former French Open champion, and she's coming off a Wimbledon showing that was very, very good. We were kind of waiting for that big moment here in 2024 where Ostapenko would make a pretty far run into a tournament. Had a very, like I said, very good showing at this year's Wimbledon. Let's see if any of that momentum could carry over to the clay courts where she has a major championship under her belt. Now, the next three people I want to talk about are all people that have had success at Roland Garros and are all from the same country of the Czech Republic, all entered into this year's Olympic Games. They are Marketa Vondrousova, Barbora Krejcikova, and Karolina Muchova. Let's start with Barbora Krejcikova. She just won Wimbledon. So you talk about momentum on your side, she has it. And let's not forget, too, that she won the French Open in 2021. So two major championships under her belt, including this year's Wimbledon that we just saw a few weeks ago, to go along with the fact that she's won at the French Open. Definitely going to be right in contention here. Now, the one thing with her is, outside of that Wimbledon showing, it's been a rough 2024 outside of that. But with the momentum on her side, the fact that she's won at the French Open before, she's playing very confidently, definitely be right in the mix of things. Now, let's talk now about Marketa Vondrousova, who won last year's Wimbledon, had a pretty good showing, I thought, in this year's clay season at this year's French Open. But you guys saw what happened at Wimbledon, losing in the opening round this year. So, little tough outings here for Marketa Vondrousova. Let's see if she can turn things around here in this year's Olympic Games. And let's not forget, too, with her, she won the silver medal at the 2016, or I'm sorry, at the 2020 Olympic Games. So let's see if, that experience under her belt in the Olympics will carry over to this one. Now, this next one, little bit of an elephant in the room here when we're talking about Karolina Muchova. Obviously, we know what she did last year at the French Open, going 3 sets with Iga Swiatek, and she also had a very good showing overall on the year, but she's been banged up, she's been injured, we hardly seen her at all this year. So, I mean, wishing her all the best in this year's tournament. You could probably make the case to put her in the long shots for this year's Olympic Games, being that we haven't seen much out of her here in 2024. But still, the fact that she had some success on clay last year, I will put her into the contenders list for this year. Now, this next person, again, you might want to make a case to put her in the long shots, but we saw her had a very good showing at the Australian Open and at this year's French Open. So when there's these big things on the line, she usually performs pretty well. It's Mirra Andreeva, and she's going to be a neutral athlete in this year's Olympic Games, being that she is Russian. But still, we just saw her have a very good showing at the French Open this year, making it all the way to the semifinals, losing to Jasmine Paolini there. But she did upset Aryna Sabalenka at the French Open. Like I said, had a very good showing at the Australian Open. Let's see if all that big experience this year, and she's still a young girl, too. She's only a teenager, but playing very well here this year. So somebody to keep an eye out on as well. All right, now this next person I really think has a great shot of getting an Olympic medal. They're having a great 2024, and I thought they had a very good clay season, and I thought they left some meat on the bones at Wimbledon, but still, nonetheless, like I said, overall, this person had a great year. It's Danielle Collins. We know it's her last year here on tour. She's planning to retire at the end of the year. But like I said, having a very good year, one of the top players in the world. She won the Miami Open earlier in the year. Like I said, had a very good clay court season, losing to Sabalenka a few times in that clay court season, but making far runs at Madrid at the Italian Open. So we'll see here if any of that sort of success that she had on clay season earlier could transfer over to this year's Olympic Games. Now, I got one more person left on this list here today, and I didn't know if I want, guys, when I tell you I was going back and forth, if I should put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off, well, the hell with that, I'll leave them on the list. It's Maria Sakkari. Sakkari, okay, we've seen time and time again that we know that she has the talent. We know that she's made a French Open semifinal before, but still this year here in 2024, outside of that Indian Wells tournament where she made the finals, I mean, we're waiting for a moment here from her. We've seen her lose early in these major tournaments a lot of times here. Let's see if she can do something here at this year's Olympic Games. She has all the experience underneath her belt. The clay court's probably best suited for the game of Sakkari. So let's see if Sakkari could seize the moment here in Paris. So that was the list of women's contenders here for this year's 2024 Summer Olympic Games. Just want to let you guys know that in the next coming days here, I will have favorites videos coming out. I'll be looking at the men's favorites to win Olympic medals, and I'll also be looking at women's athletes that are the favorites in tennis to win Olympic medals. Those are coming up here in the coming days, so make sure you guys are keeping an eye out for those videos as well.